Hello and welcome to Tight Lines. This is a time of year that never fails to excite me. It's daylight before the alarm goes off in the morning, and it's not pitch black leaving work either. The crocuses are out and the daffodils won't be long. The only downside is there's not long left of the river fishing season, so get on the flowing water at every opportunity. Duncan Sharman will certainly be doing that, as many river species are now in prime condition and ready to go on the munch. He'll be giving us plenty of advice on making the most of the next few weeks. Also coming up over the next hour, we get out with Duncan on the River Way in Surrey. With reliable sport hard to find, he takes to a familiar haunt to target a variety of species with a simple stick float approach. I try my luck on the still waters of the Royal Berkshire Fishery. Having been tipped the wink about some good lake feeding perch, I do my best to hunt them down on my trusty pole. And in Fishery Focus, there'll be useful tips for anglers of all disciplines. I'll be looking at the best baits and tactics to use at typical UK venues this weekend and the conditions in store. Well, it's good to see you again, Duncan. It's been a tricky old winter. Have you managed to catch a few?
I've had quite a good winter actually, albeit the conditions have been tough, but you just have to choose your venue.
Well, that's probably the best advice you could ever give anybody. I mean, we had that big freeze up before Christmas, loads of ice. I mean, I saw pictures of the Severn frozen over, the Wye looking like the St Lawrence at ice melt time, and we've had, well, it's got to be said, a mild January and a mild February so far.
February has been so diverse actually. Yeah. I mean, last week we were catching tench and getting plagued by them. This week I've been watching big bream and carp jumping out in front of me when I've been perch fishing, so yeah, very strange.
Maybe they thought December was February.
I think they must have done, yeah.
The other thing, you mentioned tench now, and it's funny because I always think early spring is as good for tench as when we had a closed season, like the first week was always, you went tench fishing, didn't you? But the last week, you could look at the old Angling Times and Mail and see surprise tench caught, unusual out of season, and they weren't unusual because it happens all the time now.
Yes, as soon as that water starts warming up, they switch on they're active, and yeah, some of the waters I fish where you can't fish during the closed season, they've still got that closed period. Yeah. I just sit there thinking, God, what am I missing if it was allowed open? You know, so.
Yeah, never mind. There's plenty of other places to go. Now, one of the toughest jobs on Tight Lines this winter has been asking anglers to put their reputation on the line to get a fish on the hook. Duncan has never shirked an invitation despite the conditions, and here he proves that perseverance, combined with no little skill, can produce the goods.
Most people will know me as a specimen angler. I like to catch big fish, but like all anglers, I need to get my angling fix, and the good old English weather has done its best to put us down because the river's in flood, the actual lakes are freezing, and I just need to find a venue where I can go, get a bend in my rod and catch a few fish. So I've come back to close to where I was born, the River Way in Farnham. I grew up fishing this river, and I'm going to fish a style today which is really enjoyable. It's a style of fishing my dad taught me, and it's fishing the stick float. And what I'm actually going to do is just shot the float, as they call it, shirt button style, so equally shotting down the line, and then I'm going to fish double maggot, feed every cast, and hopefully the float's going to dip a few times. We're going to actually catch a few quality dace, maybe a bonus chub. We've also got the chance of a trout or a roach actually, so let's give it a go. Conditions today are pretty bad for dace. As I say, dace will see the maggots go down. They will be all over the stream picking the maggots up as they go, but today we've got lots of colour, so I know this swim contains dace, and it's just a matter of having the confidence and keep feeding. You might not catch a fish for the first hour. A lot of people would actually fish it for half an hour, and then disappear, go downstream. You just got to keep working at it. It might take an hour to get a bite, and then when you do, you'll probably get another one. You'll find the fish will actually feed in certain areas in your swim. Dace especially, they're all shoaled up together, and you'll be trotting down, and the float would be going in near enough the same spot every time. As you can see, every time I cast out and trot down, I'm throwing 6 or 7 maggots out. Don't throw too many out, just keep it going in consistently. Well, that was a bite. Oh yeah, here we go. This is a good day. So just that sort of size, you don't want to lift, because quite often the hook pulls and it ends up in the tree. And there we have it. An absolutely lovely looking dace. What was that? Was that a good roach? Or was it I don't know. You just don't know in a little stream like this. There's carp in here, there's barbel in here, and there's chub in here, and that's what that fish is. Going, not a big fish, but in flow, it's they pull back a bit, and in she goes, and nearly out she went. I wish that was a dace. It would have been a big dace, but there you have it. For 1 minute I thought that was a big roach, but I'm happy with that on a day like today. Well, I've been fishing with the shirt button style for quite a while now, and I've had a few bites, but I've got this sort of feeling that the fish are pinned right down close to the bottom. They're not darting around picking the bait up, and where I'm trotting down, you never know with your bait if it's up or trailing behind the float, or if you're holding back in front and off the bottom. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to try something, and I'm going to actually bring all the shot down and bulk shot this together, which basically that means that, or what that does is it just nails your bait straight down to the bottom, and then you've just got a little hook link. So I just think it might make a little bit of a difference on a day where we've got so much colour and quite a bit of flow. I'm going to leave the one shot up on the float, because that'll just keep my depth. And what I've done is I've got 1, 2, 3, 5 number 6 as a bulk shot. Got 2 little dropper shots which I'm just going to leave. They'll stay there whether your shirt button or not. And just give it a go on a couple of maggots and see if it makes any difference. Sometimes, you know, differences like that can make the difference between, you know, catching a couple of dozen fish to not catching none at all. So I know the fish are there. It's just trying to actually present that bait how they actually want it. Here we are. I've just hooked a fish here. But as soon as I hooked it, it come out the water, and it's one thing that this little river's known for, and it's loads and loads of gorgeous little wild brown trout. And there's only one culprit this is, and that's going to be a little brownie. So there she is, in the net she goes. I wasn't expecting to catch one of these on a day with so much colour in the actual river, because they're normal sight feeders again, so lively looking things. But there you have it. What an absolutely fantastic looking fish. Not many rivers in this country you can go and catch wild brown trout like that. Another little brown trout. And in she goes. Slightly bigger than the last one. Not quite as colourful either. Obviously, as you get older, you lose your looks. I've just hooked into a good fish. It's another chub. It's a better chub. Again, it's using the flow to its advantage now and just shaking its head in defiance. It's literally a bite a chuck now. I'm not going to say a fish a chuck, it's not far off now. The fish are certainly responding to the improving river conditions, and also the maggots that are going down there. I knew the fish were here. It's taken a bit of time. Oh, that is so lightly hooked. I can actually see the maggot right on this chub's nose. In she goes. It's the best fish of the day. That's a lovely chub. Whew. And that hook is so lightly in her mouth. Look at the maggots it's just thrown up. It's just, and there you have it. It's a fish, and that is a big, better chub, and it's gone right. I certainly wasn't expecting to catch so many chub today. Obviously the river's coloured and they're responding to that. I came for dace, I've caught dace, but to catch this amount of chub just shows that even when, you know, I didn't think there was this many chub in this swim. Obviously you catch one and then they disappear under the bank, but we've got coloured water. This fish is still a bit lively. He didn't fight as hard as I expected, and chunky old chub. Probably getting on for £3 that one is. I've got 2 or 3 like that now. Some cracking dace. And all I've done, I've been fishing for probably just over 2 hours now. Cost of a car park ticket, pint of maggots. I'm coming to the end of my maggots now. And who would have thought in these conditions, in water that's coloured, a freezing morning, -2 this morning, high pressure blue skies, we would have caught so many fish.
That was terrific, and it's probably the colour that's done you the favour.
For the chub, absolutely.
Yeah.
Normally it's all dace in there, catch a chub, and then all of the others disappear, and you think there's only one chub in your swim. But I was amazed there. I had 5, 6 chub, lost quite a few as well.
Did you?
So it was just the colour and the conditions really that made them feed.
The other great thing as well, of course, in steady water, you hook those chub and they disappear downstream and sideways into the snags. When you've got that extra pace, they have to keep facing it, so they're more likely to swim towards you. They're sometimes easier to land in that real rapids than they are when it's quite temperate flow.
Yeah, they just seem to stay deep and just kind of like just a heavy weight there, and you just kind of like lead them up. Upstream and then just let them drop back in the net.
Maybe that's why they call them dog chub, because they come in like they're on the lead.
Yeah.
But that was just a cracking day. And to get wild trout, I mean, you were in a town centre, literally in a town centre, traffic going by, and wild trout in Surrey. You know, you expect to pay £1,000 a year to fish those kind of waters, or a quarter of that a day. It was phenomenal. Great. I really enjoyed that. Well done.
Yeah,
lovely
thank
stuff. It's time for a break now. We'll be back with plenty of tactical advice in a few minutes. Duncan, I'm sure, will be letting you into a few of his secrets. Yeah, it's amazing. I'm surprised you didn't get a crowd watching you feeding ducks.